You ever look at a cloud and just see a rabbit? Or maybe you've spotted a grumpy little face in the pattern of a wooden door. If you have, you are definitely not alone. So, let's dive into this fascinating trick our minds play on us because it's so much more than just some random quirk.
Okay, check this out. It all starts with something like this. Back in 2021, a geologist in Brazil cracks open a totally ordinary volcanic rock, an agate geode. And inside is this, the unmistakable face of Cookie Monster. I mean, the googly eyes, the goofy grin, it's all there. It's hilarious, it's amazing, and of course, it went viral almost instantly.
But here's the real question. Why? I mean, there's no actual face in there. It's just a random formation of blue quartz and some circular patterns. So why does your brain not just see, but absolutely insist on seeing a familiar Muppet staring back at you?
To really get what's going on here, we first need to give this weird experience a name.
The official term for this is Pareidolia. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it's the psychological phenomenon of seeing a familiar pattern, usually a face, in something that's totally random. The word itself comes from Greek, and it basically means an abnormal image, and it's something our brains are doing all the time.
And just think about it for a second. We see these kinds of things everywhere, right? We've all seen the man in the moon, or maybe a rabbit. We've laid on our backs and found dragons in the clouds. Or maybe you've been startled by an electrical outlet that looks shocked to see you. It's all the same brain wiring that makes us see Cookie Monster in a rock.
So, if we all do it, there's gotta be a reason, right? This isn't just a simple trick of the eye. Turns out, it's a fundamental tool for survival. Here's the thing you gotta understand. This isn't a bug in your mental software. It's a core feature. Your brain is an absolute superpowered pattern recognition machine. It's constantly trying to make sense of the chaotic storm of information hitting your senses every single second. And finding patterns is its #1 way of creating some order and meaning. And this process is incredibly specialized and fast. See, as intensely social animals, we've actually evolved specific parts of our brain, like the fusiform face area, that are dedicated to doing one thing, finding faces. And they are lightning quick. We're talking 170 milliseconds. That is literally faster than you can blink.
Now that speed is absolutely key when you think about our evolutionary past. I mean, imagine being one of our ancient ancestors. The world was a way more dangerous place. A sound in the dark, a shadow moving at the edge of your vision, those things demanded an instant interpretation.
This brings us to something called error management theory. Picture this prehistoric dilemma. You hear a rustle in the bushes. You've got two choices. You can assume it's a predator, get scared, and run. If you're wrong, what's the cost? Pretty low. You just wasted a little energy. But what if you assume it's just the wind and you're wrong? Well, the cost is catastrophic. Your dinner. So over millions of years, natural selection favored the brain that made the less costly error. It's way better to see 1,000 tigers that aren't there than to miss the one that is.
So that evolutionary logic seems pretty straightforward, right? Our brains are just hardwired to be overly sensitive, especially when we feel threatened. But what happens when scientists actually put that very idea to the test?
This whole proposed system has a pretty cool name, the Hypersensitive Agency Detection Device, or HAD for short. Just think of it like your brain's smoke detector. It's designed to be incredibly sensitive, like a hair-triggering device that goes off at the slightest hint of someone else, human, animal, predator, whatever, in a confusing situation.
So the logical next step here, the whole idea behind the HADD theory, is that if you dial up the feeling of threat, put someone in a scary situation, that smoke detector should get even more sensitive, right? It should be way more likely to see faces and hear voices and detect things that aren't there. Makes perfect sense.
But here's the plot twist. When researchers at the University of Amsterdam actually tested this in 2019, using everything from threatening pictures and horror music to scary VR scenarios, they found, well, nothing. Across 6 different experiments, making people feel threatened did not significantly increase their tendency to see or hear things in random noise. In fact, the study found pretty much the opposite of what the theory predicted. The researchers actually noted that most of the time, people were biased towards assuming that agents were absent. So it seems our built-in smoke detector, while it's definitely sensitive, might not be as easily fooled by fear as we thought.
So our brain's pattern-finding machinery is clearly more complex than just a simple fear response. And this intense search for patterns isn't limited to our eyes. It shapes how we see things over time, leading to some other really strange illusions.
You see, this drive to find patterns isn't just about seeing faces in rocks. It applies to everything, including sequences of events. We are absolutely desperate to find a narrative, a streak,
a cause and effect story, even in situations that are governed by pure, random chance.
And this leads us to another fascinating cognitive bias, the hot hand fallacy. This is the belief that because someone has had a string of successes, let's say in sports, they're on a hot streak and are somehow more likely to succeed again, completely defying the laws of probability. Imagine a hockey goalie who makes 5 incredible saves in the first few minutes of a game. Suddenly, the commentators, the fans, even the players start saying the goalie has hot hands, that they're in the zone. But what's really happening is we're taking a tiny, recent sample of data and creating a pattern out of it, and we're totally ignoring the goalie's much bigger long-term save percentage. We see a streak where there's really only randomness.
So, from Cookie Monster in a rock to a goalie's supposed hot streak, we're seeing the exact same fundamental process at work.
At the end of the day, this tendency to find meaning, to see faces, to see streaks, is one of the most fundamental features of the human mind. It's the engine of our creativity and discovery, but it comes with these wild and sometimes really misleading side effects like pareidolia and the hot hand fallacy.
And all of this leaves us with a final, pretty fascinating question to think about. Our brains are clearly experts at imposing patterns on the world, at seeing things that aren't really there, which really makes you wonder, what real patterns, what important details hiding in plain sight are we missing completely?